Up and at 'em. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. I used to play the bugle for Boy Scouts, wake everybody up in the morning, then crawl back into the tent again while everybody got breakfast ready. One of those fringe benefits of being the bugler. And boy, it was pretty pushy today. I welcome you to show 43 of Looking Upon the Heart, just in time for the last of the hard heart dispositional character states, the personality style of Hannibal Lecter and Pushy Patty. Yeah, it's pretty pushy to wake people up in the morning. Well, these two use lecturing and being pushy with others in order to get their point across. The way they try to persuade is to be a little over the top and somewhat pressuring, trying to get us to agree with them and being a know-it-all. This style tends to be very controlling, telling us what to do instead of asking, always having the role they assign themselves to direct traffic. And being much more controlling, heavy-handed, and aggressive than they really have to, and much more aggressive than they are assertive. Hannibal Lecter and Pushy Patty tend to be, like most hard-hearted people, ego-driven, very insistent and wanting to tell us what we should know, what we should do, how we should live our lives. I guess we can all be a little pushy sometimes. We need to be humble to realize we can harden our hearts, even if just for a moment, so that we can morph out of it. Hannibal Lecter may not even know how he's coming across, and Pushy Patty may not know how she is negatively affecting us. Or maybe they do and they don't care, but simply want us to know that they are our appointed, self-assigned leaders, and they know what's best for us. People can give themselves that position, and it's not, they haven't been elected. There's a bossy communication where perhaps they're blind to how bossy they really are coming across, and Hannibal Lecter tends to step on people's toes without even caring, maybe, going around shoulding on us. He uses the word should way too much. You should have done this, you should have done that. You should do this, you should do that. You must do this. You ought to have done this. We call it shoulding. It sounds pretty bad, going around shoulding on others. But that's what happens with Hannibal Lecter and Pushy Patty. Frequently, they keep talking and won't be quiet or listen, either consciously or unconsciously manipulating us to have to stay and listen to her or him long after we have lost interest. People are in this character state full of themselves, thinking that we need their advice. Pushy Patty insists she has all the wisdom and knowledge, and we must let her push us in the direction she wants us to go. Commonly labeled as being a big mouth, or a blowhard, or a motor mouth. Not controlling the tongue is a big problem for a lot of people. Talking too much and listening very little. Acting in a superior or dominating manner, lecturing and pushing their burdensome agenda on others. Being so forceful and inconsiderate of others' feelings and needs. Refusing to hold back, which is like bridling their tongue, as the Lord wants us to practice in James 1:26. It says, if anyone among you thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this one's religion is useless. Yeah, there's a lot of people even in the church that are very controlling and get up on their high horse and don't realize that you're just fooling yourself if you think that everything you say is correct. If you don't hold back on your tongue, your religion is worthless, it says. A close cousin of Pushy Patty is Zealot Zeke. Many well-intended Christians attempting to evangelize and preach at people come across as Hannibal Lecter, cramming a message down the throat of people who may not at all be ready to receive it. People need to be treated on their level where, well, you don't force a big steak on a little baby. Babies need milk before they have meat. The teeth haven't even grown in yet. And you have to admit, Christianity is a big, sophisticated kind of food to eat. And you have to find the right way to sort of prepare it and cut it up and chew it. Lecturing Christians can be a problem. Forcing his own will upon the people Hannibal Lecter is trying to disciple, but he's overstepping God's will and operating out of his own zealous, ego-driven strivings. You must do what I say or you're going to go to punishment. You know the type. And that's what turns a lot of unbelievers and new believers away from the Lord. Try not to judge God by the people that are supposed to represent him. Well, Hannibal Lecter is trying too hard in this Christian role, and he's trying to be self-righteous if he doesn't watch it, to dominate the conversation with pressure and to force change upon the disciple. One of the biggest problems Christianity has is well-meaning, perhaps, evangelical Christian people disrespecting people's boundaries, feelings, and viewpoints by being overly zealous. Boundaries is a very important concept in psychology where everybody has a right to have their rules of how they want to be treated. We need to tune in to how other people need us to treat them and not be lecturing and pushy and forcing ourselves. We cannot be self-righteous, holier than thou Christians. People hate zealous Zeke preaching at them with lectures and challenging words, along with an attitude of superiority, perhaps, and a demand for submission and conformity. Christians, beware of the trap. Every Christian must be aware of, so as to avoid falling into the trap of talking down to unbelievers and disciples. In James 3, 1 through 10, a long discourse, I'll read it to you. My brethren, let not many of you become teachers, knowing that we will receive a stricter judgment. For we all stumble in many ways. If anyone does not stumble in word, he is perfect, a perfect man, able also to bridle the whole body. Indeed, we put bits in horses' mouth that they may obey us, and they turn their whole body. Look also at ships. Although they are so large and driven by fierce winds, they are turned by a very small rudder, wherever the pilot desires. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. See how great a forest a little fire kindles? And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. The tongue is so set among our members that it defiles the whole body and sets on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire by hell. For every kind of beast has been tamed by mankind, but no one can tame the tongue. It is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. With it we bless our God and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing. My brothers and sisters, these things ought not to be so. Oh, the tongue, very important. So, well, we're reaching the end of our dysfunction and sin part of the narratives in these YouTube videos. And in this portion of Looking Upon the Heart, Volume 1, The 5 Dispositions, this concludes the end of our analysis of the character states and personality styles of the unhealthy dispositions of the heart, the broken heart, and the hard-heart disposition. I thank you so much for trudging through all the negativity the dysfunction and unrighteousness of these, well, some 18 types of unhealthy character states we have covered. These are all things we are capable of morphing into. I hope that it wasn't too depressing to see the depravity all people are susceptible to, unfortunately, including you and I. But always stay humble, my friends, because all have all, and it's all right. It's not a matter of whether or not we have dysfunction or not, good or bad moments, but mental health and spiritual health is when it doesn't take us all that long to morph out of it. Well, also stay tuned in this YouTube channel for our next series of shows on the healthy dispositions of the heart. Starting next week will be the open heart disposition, which is so wonderful, open to new things and able to disclose new things. And that will be followed by the sweetheart disposition, and where the power of love, the many manifestations of it, can be diffused among people for the greater good. And then the brave heart disposition will be our final videos having to do with just putting on courage. These are guaranteed to uplift your spirits and greatly encourage you on your way to a healthy morphology. Well, that's the end for now of the dysfunction. Let's move forward. Thank you so much, and remember, submit yourselves one to another. Don't be a Hannibal lecturer or pushy patty. As a steward of the manifold grace of God, I love you unconditionally, and you have a wonderful day. God bless you. Bye-bye.